Hello Australia, welcome to episode 516 of The Couch. Hope you can stick around, we've got the Pollies coming in, but take a look who's also on the show today. On the show today, we have got the Pollies, as I said, doing another Pollie Waffle. We're going to talk about all the topics making news. Also, we've got all the latest movie reviews with our very own Tayla Divitini. Annie Kay, the youngest presenter, comes in to talk about music with Blake Williams, and our team is back for Bitchin', talking about all the news stories that are in the news around Australia. Hope you can stick around. A big couch coming up. Episode 516 starts now.
It's showtime on the couch. Yeah, it's showtime on the couch. You can see it from your house. You can watch it from your house. It's showtime on the couch with Fred and the best in town. Oh, it's showtime on the couch.
We have got a big show. As you can see, our politicians are in the studio live, so we're waiting to talk to them in another Pollie Waffle. But to open the show today, a wonderful young talent. Her name is Escala. She's got her dancers with her, and a beautiful song to open the show called Living for Love. Here it is.
First you loved me and I let you in. Made me feel like I was born again. You empowered me, you made me strong. Lift me up and I can do no wrong. I let down my guard, I fell into your arms. Forgot who I was, I didn't hear the alarms. Now I'm down on my knees, alone in the dark. I was blind to your game, you fired a shot at my heart. Took me to heaven, let me fall down. Now that it's over, I'm gonna carry on. Lifted me up and watch me stumble. After the heartache, I'm gonna carry on. Living for love, living for love. I'm not giving up. I'm gonna carry on. Living for love, living for love. I'm not gonna stop. Love's gonna lift me up. Love, lift me up, lift me up. Love,
That is Escala and the dancers, of course. We can't forget the dancers performing for us today, and she'll be back at the end of the show to perform again. But now someone that never performs but does very well regardless are our politicians. They're in for another Pollie Waffle, though they do perform, actually. They perform very well here in Australia.
I was going to say, Alfredo, that's a bit rough.
Thank you, Alannah. I've got to get all the names right. Alannah MacTiernan, of course, the federal member for Perth. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
We've got Ken Wyatt, the federal member for Hasluck. Thank you for coming in today. And, of course, Rachel Siewert, Senator for Western Australia from the Greens. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
You're very welcome. Let's start with just a quick 1 minute each of telling me what you see was the important topics in politics in the last month or so. Please, Alannah.
Oh, God, there's so many. But two, I think, particularly that I'd like to focus on. One is obviously the GST distribution. There is absolutely no doubt that there are real problems with the formula. I had a piece published this week where I've gone in and shown just how bizarre the calculations are. Like, for example, they're now calling Melbourne the capital of Tasmania. And Adelaide is the capital of Northern Territory, so they can give more money to those states. And they do not take into account remoteness. So there's a real problem with the formula. And secondly, you can't have the federal government acting like Pontius Pilate on this thing. You're never going to get the premiers to agree. We need the federal government to step in. Labor has said they will support the federal government if they were prepared to take a measure, and Bill Shorten has come up with the idea of a rescue package, a one-off rescue package to help us ease this transition. So I think that's a big issue. The second issue that very deeply concerns me, and no doubt Ken and Rachel as well, and that is the proposal to close up to 150 remote communities. Federal government traditionally has funded that. They've walked away, done another Pontius Pilate, left it to the states, and Mr Barnett saying he's going to close down over up to 150 communities. Completely ridiculous idea. Morally and practically a very, very wrong proposition.
Thank you. We'll talk more about that soon. And Ken, welcome. What are your hot topics, do you think, in politics?
In the electorate, the hot topics are the GST and the direct impact that's occurring in terms of diabetes education centres closing down because the state doesn't have the funding. For the state to drop down to 30 cents in the dollar, it's got to make some tough decisions. This requires a federation to pull together to make sure this doesn't happen ever again, because when you take away, when you have to make tough decisions when you get money taken from you by the Commonwealth, then that impacts on families, and I've certainly had a lot of those issues raised with me this week. The other is the pharmaceutical agreement. I've had every pharmacist in my electorate come and see me and express their concern about the pharmaceutical agreement and some of the issues that they face and some of the concerns they have. So I'll be advocating their views forward to the Minister.
Thank you, Ken. And Rachel Siewert.
I agree with the GST issue. I agree with what Alannah said. The delay in the calculations is an issue as well. Obviously needs to be resolved. Remote communities, I've held a round table with some of the Aboriginal leaders, and again expressed deep concern about the fact that the federal government's stepping out of that space, and I'll be talking some more in the coming weeks. One of the issues that has also been in the media recently is constitutional recognition, and I'm sure we'll touch on that later, and Noel Pearson's new proposal is stirring up a lot of the people involved there, so I think that's an issue to very carefully watch. And an area that I've been doing a lot of work in as chair of the Community Affairs Reference Committee is disabilities and abuse of people with disabilities, and that's huge, and we're going to have to make some very significant changes both at national and state and territory levels.
Well, sticking with the GST distribution, while we've got you there, Rachel, would the Greens support a change in the GST level from 10% up?
No, I can't sit here and say no that we would support that, but we'd certainly look at the formula, because we do think that, looking at the evidence obviously we need to be looking at that. But no, I'm not about to release something here on TV to say the Greens are going to support an increase in GST.
No, Rachel. we did see the COAG meeting that happened on Friday last week, and of course our Premier spoke out against that. He wasn't very happy. Can I get your opinion? I know, Alannah, you said something already about that you don't think the split's fair.
And look, I think Mr Barnett has been probably fighting this in a way on the wrong ground. So there's two arguments. One is, should we have horizontal fiscal equalisation? That means every state is put in the same financial position. I actually do support that principle because I think it's pretty fundamental, and it's not something that the Treasurer can change by himself anyhow. But we have to look at the mechanisms within that, and they are completely preposterous. I mean, to suggest that, you know, you can't get any more remote than 1,200 kilometres, and after, if you're more than 1,200 kilometres away, you don't get any additional allocation for needs. So
we use a different formula for remote for a whole lot of other grants
exactly.
and things. It's ridiculous.
Just so silly.
And it varies according to the programs, and that's part of the challenge. It's the radius out of a capital or large regional centre versus something that is much broader. There needs to be a serious discussion about a base. If we do not fight for a base as West Australian members of the Australian Parliament, and that's all of us, then we've got a problem.
I have to interrupt here and say Bill Shorten was on TV last week, and I think one of the plans he came up with, whereas WA gets a small grant to help us through
well,
this.
that's what I said. That was what he was saying, that you can't, like the Prime Minister is saying, well, look, it's up to the premiers. And, you know, and of course they're never going to do anything that favours Western Australia. So he's saying, look, we actually need, on top of the GST, to help WA with this transition.
A one-off.
A one-off. But I totally support that, but I think we do need to have a look at the way the Grants Commission. And I also think that we have to look at gambling taxes. Yeah. It's absolutely outrageous that all of this revenue, this $5 billion,
comes from revenue.
That's the taxes that the eastern states get from pokies are not taken into account.
And that raises the bigger issue then of their dependence on pokies and the social cost of pokies that they benefit off. And there's a real issue there as well.
Encouraging.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
encouraging.
From a government point of view.
But even if we step back from that and we look at the formula, I still have an issue that there was not a risk analysis done by the states as to what the worst case scenario might be in the future. Because had that been done, then you may have had a better positioning for arguing for a base that no state could go below, no state or territory could go below, and we wouldn't be having this debate.
And can I say that Eric Ripper argued that in the Parliament in 1999, and as did Jeff Gallop, because when this agreement was entered into by the Court and Howard government, you know, there was some warning signals, and that was part of the debate, and there was a bit of a, oh, it will never happen attitude, and unfortunately it has.
There's been a big attack on our Premier, basically. The attacks come from the other states saying he spent too much, he needs to manage his economy. But I think do you think that's the wrong attitude to have towards what we're doing here in WA? The GST is a separate issue.
Well, it is, because there are some infrastructure needs that this state has had to address over a period of time. Alannah, in terms of her role within government and the rail system to Mandurah, but the upgrading of all of our hospitals, the new children's hospital, all of those are absolutely critical, and it's an investment for the future, and the state commits to them. But there are some other programs that also are required, and the issue for us now as a state is we're not going to be able to fund those.
So let's start with you, Ken. How would you fix this GST problem? What would you like to see happen from your point of view?
Well, if what I heard this morning is correct, of all of the Prime Minister and the Premiers and the Chief Ministers having a weekend where they're going to sit in and talk through the issues and have their retreat, then I think that's a step in the right direction. But they've got to do it from a balanced federation perspective and try and get a point that we protect all states in this. Because if we don't, then it does impact on every person that lives within Australia.
Look, and I think that's right. I think there's been some fundamental problems with it. I think most people would recognise, when you look at Mr Barnett presided over the highest levels of revenue. I mean, the revenue that was coming in, particularly 2010 on, were just extraordinary, and yet debt has blown out. And unfortunately, it can't all just be explained by infrastructure. In fact, a very large part of it has been not managing the day-to-day expenditures which you do have to manage. So there has been that as a problem. But we do need to go back. There's been some, really interesting papers put together But at the end of the day, the thing is, nothing comes out of nowhere. And if WA is going to get more, it does mean that some other states will get less. And there's no way in which we can have that not happening. You can't get us getting more and no one getting less unless we fund the difference from a direct grant, and that's only something that could be done on a short-term basis.
The other issue there, Fred, though, is I'd argue that we haven't managed that process well. Western Australia has the highest rate of growing inequality out of all the other states, because we did a Senate inquiry into this year, just at the end of last year. So the boom, while it's been good for some, hasn't been good for everybody. So I'd argue that we've made some mistakes there if it means that it's not being shared more equally. And that we haven't made the best use of that, and perhaps we should have been looking at something like a sovereign fund so that we did have some in the bank for later on.
All right.
Yeah, and that's probably how, and that's why we have to look at maybe the way in which we deal with mining royalties. If we had had a more sophisticated regime where we maybe had a profit space, but the state get to keep half, the other half go to the Commonwealth, but the state does not have to put that into their GST calculation.
Sounds like the whole nation needs to have a good sit down and a big discussion about GST, not be afraid about it. All sides of politics needs to sit down.
Unfortunately, Fred, in the other states, this just doesn't rate really as an issue. Unfortunately, because it's only WA that is in this incredibly negative position. So it's interesting. It's not a political game changer, which is why people largely sort of say, well, there's more votes in it over there rather than here. So I'm glad we've made some progress on our side to say, you know, this is a problem, there has to be some federal response. And
I'm also glad the Premier and his Treasurer has come out and said they won't be increasing taxes to cover for the shortfall. But there needs to be a big discussion. But Ken, I wanted to move quickly on because I know we've only got 5 minutes left. The Aboriginal communities, tell us a little bit of background, what's going on with this?
Well, there's a corporate knowledge that's not there anymore. I was in government at the time of the 99-year leases, and we put into place 101 99-year leases. Now, the Commonwealth at the same time decided to do homeland movement. So the Commonwealth created the additional outlying communities. And at that time, we were saying to the Commonwealth, it's not appropriate. We cannot provide municipal services. We cannot provide the level of service that you're alluding to. And in that period, when those who were involved have moved on, then there have been some incredible gaps. I've had a discussion with the Premier, and he assures me that he's not going to cut and shut communities, that there will be consultation.
Okay. And
they're looking at a different model of delivery. But the Commonwealth have played a significant role in all of this.
A good one, or do you think not enough?
Oh, look, the trouble with Aboriginal affairs is people come up with an idea, they put the program into place, and they don't look at the unintended consequences that are in the outlier years, particularly when you get changes of government, Aboriginal programs and policies change. So communities are then left in a conundrum as to what's the viability for their future.
Alannah, I know you've been travelling up north as well, and you're very close to this problem, and you've kept yourself involved. What do you think needs to happen, and what's going on?
Well, first of all, you have to involve the people in the Aboriginal communities. This is the most appalling thing, is that in terms of the feds deciding to walk away from it, and in terms of the states making its pronouncement that it was going to close down 150 communities, there has been no engagement with people. And that's not something that you then do later. I mean, people finding out about their future from reading the front page of the West Australian, I mean, it makes people really angry. And it's exactly, as Ken, you would know, it's exactly the worst problem. We keep telling Aboriginal people how they're supposed to live their lives rather than engaging them in shaping their destiny. And so we've created this awful problem. And just as a practical matter, I mean, it just simply won't work to close down all these communities. There's housing there. You can't, I mean, how are people going to lead better lives dumped on the edges of Fitzroy Crossing and Halls Creek?
Well, on top of that, the federal government's had their Indigenous Advancement Strategy funding, so they've basically thrown all the funding programs up in the air and at the same time taken out $500 million worth of funding. And so on top of the closure of the closure of communities are trying to deal with the fact that they don't know if their services have been cut or funded or ceased to exist, or whether they'll be, only partly funded, and that's causing further chaos in communities. So every way they look at the moment, Aboriginal communities are under pressure and can't see a way forward, and not being talked to, not being consulted, and not getting control over the decision
Sounds
making.
very similar to the mistake they made with the council amalgamations, but...
Fred, that is absolutely right. It's sort of going in there in this ham-fisted way and then finding this is much more complex. Now, no one's suggesting it's a Garden of Eden out there in all these places, and there is a lot of work that has to be done on social and economic sustainability, but you've got to do it with the community. You don't do it by making an announcement and saying first up it's economic and then saying, oh no, it's all these child protection issues.
Sounds like we're going to have a big week in Parliament coming up. Can I just wrap up very quickly? Alannah, what are you looking forward to going back to Parliament? What are going to be the hot topics that you're going to be chasing up, apart from the Aboriginal communities and also the GST? Is there anything else you can
Well, obviously we're going to be looking very closely at the budget, because we do need, it's a tough ask with all this, but we can't have a budget like the last one that just imposed itself so unfairly on the community. And the other factor that I'm really concerned about is the lack of us having a jobs plan. There is no strategy for new industries, for 21st century industries, and that is leaving Western Australia very, very exposed.
All right, Rachel, I'm going to go to you second.
Budget, obviously, and from my perspective, because I work a lot in the community services and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, what are they doing with those services? The measures from last year, most of those are still on the books, and there's still legislation sitting before the public, grossly unfair, so really clearly looking at that.
And Ken, from a government point of view, what are some of the legislation and things that you're looking forward to discussing in Parliament, getting through maybe?
The budget and the announcements within the budget that'll build the economy, build industry, and build the jobs for the future.
Do you have any preview for us?
No, we don't. No, because...
nothing at all? A nicer budget maybe?
No, look, all I can say is that there will be a focus on families and small business. Small businesses are where you get jobs growth, and they're important. But we also need, and I'd agree with the aspect of we've got to look at the industries we have in Australia, given the free trade agreements and the opportunities we have in a global community, and they're important in future planning.
Wonderful panel today. Thank you very much to Alannah MacTiernan, thank you to Ken Wyatt, and thank you to Rachel Siewert. They are our Pollie Waffle team for this edition of The Couch. They'll be back again next month with more discussion. We need to take a break because a different panel's coming up, the Bitchin' team, right after this. Thank you. Thanks. Welcome to another bitch, and we've got our bitches back for another great discussion today. They always laugh when we call them bitches because we bitch all day. But let me introduce them. We've got Natalie Foster from the RSPCA. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Good
for
to be
being
here.
today.
Thank you.
Of course, Candice Barnes from Fairfax WA Today.
That's
Fairfax
me.
Media, now Macquarie Media, so many
We're
names.
all sorts of things these days.
6PR Radio as well. And of course, Ted
Hi.
from all those places in the past.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, I'd like to have a name change, and it's Ted Bull on Butchin. Butchin. It has a more moist sound to it, doesn't it?
It does.
It does.
Yeah, Butchin.
It's pretty fresh.
Really sexy.
Yeah,
and
this
moist.
is
What have you
Butchin.
been up to, Ted? Just
What have I been up to? I've done a play, I've done another play, I'm going away, I'm doing another play, and of course I still do curtains on Saturday mornings.
so you're like
Fantastic.
playing away.
It sounds like a
Home and away.
TV series, doesn't
Well
it?
done.
Song.
Playing away.
And can I ask Natalie, my good friend, what have you
Yes.
been up to?
Working, as always. But I have got, can I give this a plug now? There's going to be a Rockingham Community Action Day held by the RSPCA, which is going to be happening at the Gary Holland Centre in Rockingham. And that's going to be on Wednesday, the 6th of May, between midday and 3. What it entails is basically teaching people, educating people about good, responsible pet ownership. We're going to have a vet down there that's going to be doing free vet checks. We're going to have free medication for fleas, worming, free food, sausage sizzle. We're going to have the rangers down there chat to people, dog trainers. All the inspectors will be there as well. So it's going to be a chance to come down and
Check out the
And the
website.
fleas
check
and
out
worms.
the RSPCA WA website.
The fleas and worms, is that for the people as well, or just for the dogs?
Quite possibly. We're not going to be
Okay.
checking them. We're not going to be giving
I
them.
sort of thought
we're not going to be checking temperatures or anything on people. But
And no one's few hairy people that could probably use it
On
too.
that note, taking control. Candice, what have you been up to?
Wordsmithing as usual. There's a lot of interesting TV shows
You've
coming
been on
up.
television lately,
Oh,
Candice.
have
talking
been on
about that,
television
Did anyone
lately.
watch this last week?
You do not.
Have a look at this.
Hello, Candice Barnes.
Candice.
Candice. I said Candice, it's Candice.
You
is
did
it?
a lot of-
The Grudge.
I really don't know a lot about cricket, but I'm pretty...
Gathered by the bees to make honey, $500. A famous system of music education founded in Japan in the 1950s.
the theme in here, and I'm pretty sure that Kawasaki has something to do with music. So I'm going to lock in C once more, please. I don't know.
Kawasaki's a motorbike, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you might have to get on and ride that. No, it's the Suzuki. Yeah, Suniki Suzuki, Dr. Suniki
Doesn't
Suzuki
matter.
fostered the concept of character first, ability second, that every child is born with a musical ability which can be nurtured and developed. The Suzuki. Oh,
Say with
Candice,
me.
we wanted you to go a bit further. See you, Candice, good on you.
Oh, look,
done.
can I tell you something? A lot of people think that the Suzuki method is the Japanese Kama Sutra.
No, I think I did tell you that.
I'll tell you
outside.
why I said Kawasaki. I had a Kawasaki keyboard as a kid.
Yes, I understand.
Like a keyboard, and my mum, even when I phoned her up after the show went to air, because I wasn't allowed to talk about it too much, she goes, "Oh, I know why you chose Kawasaki. We had that little organ." And I was like, "I know, right? I had this little
yeah,
keyboard
exactly.
as a kid. It played
Fair
"Wake Me
enough,
Up Before You Go Go" on the demo mode.
On that note,
I would have got it right.
I'd have
Well,
got it right.
of course
too.
you would have, because
watching
you're
it
clever
going,
folks.
this is- well,
let's do this because I know we're probably going to cut Taylor's film segment down to one trailer very
okay.
soon from
Shame.
4. Ted, let's start with you. What
Oh,
have you got
yes.
for us? Just
I'm
quickly?
talking about Freddo frogs.
Yep.
They've been they haven't been decapitated. Well, virtually, because the price has stayed the same way, but the size they're shrinking. They're just
Like a lot of men.
They've become tadpoles. They're no longer Freddo frogs. They're
talking.
taddies.
Keep talking,
they're
folks.
Teddy the Taddies.
Oh, where's he
Have you got a Freddo frog? And the most
better
interesting
have.
thing is that Cadbury's, of course, also lessened the size of their normal blocks recently.
Yeah,
So
that
now
was in February.
now it's a cup and a quarter of full cream milk.
Only a couple
I'm
of
going to give you all
quarter.
one each.
Are
we
these
can actually
the
see
proper
the real.
size?
Yeah, these are the real ones.
Do you know what we should... Oh,
We'll
okay,
get
what
some.
size are these?
We'll give some to the crew as well.
Where do you start eating a
He
Freddo
looks so
frog?
happy
have
about
the head.
himself,
Look how
doesn't he?
tiny
Oh,
he
look,
is.
he's tiny.
Look at
Oh,
that.
wow.
Can you see that
And
on my
also,
hand?
do you know, this will shock you, but when I was a young lad, which is a long time ago,
That's the size
Freddo
of it.
frogs were actually in the shape of a real frog. They weren't like this little cute thing. They were real. They were like a real frog, which were much
really?
more fun to eat.
Yeah, you could
Had
take
sort
the
of a-
legs off
Yeah, well, it
first.
had a French feel about
Yeah.
it, you know.
Do you all agree that they've all reduced in size, like everything? And they're
Yeah.
still charging the same amount of money.
It's not just them either.
Do you know-
A lot of brands are doing similar
This
things.
shocked me
Have a
so
look at
much
this.
Yes.
Keep talking, you're right.
that I had to go on Catch of the Day and made sure there were the 15-gram ones, and I bulk bought a couple of cartons. See how I'm thinking ahead of time?
You are an ahead thinker.
I'm a head thinker.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
her, she's
Do you know
enjoying
the
it.
story about Freddo? Apparently, the story that I read off the internet was
Oh.
that the
Hello,
guy
nice
who made the
rainbow
first
flag.
Freddo frog apparently made it for a friend of his called Fred, and this guy never made any money out of it at all.
Really?
So I don't know what happened to him in the end.
So they're supposed to. They
There you
reckon
go.
they've done it because they've been absorbing costs because it's harder to get cocoa.
Yeah.
Big
But do you know what? I found something
Cocoa's
else.
expensive.
Well, it is, but something even more scary. So do not worry about the chocolate, okay, people. What you should be worrying about is coffee. There's a caffeine shortage. Seriously.
no.
Have a look at the...
Kill me now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Kill me now.
If you get rid of chocolate and you get rid of my coffee, you don't want me around. Because I live on those two things.
Really?
Yes.
Gee, look, well, anyway.
Anything else to wrap up on the Freddo
Do I have
frog?
anything to wrap up? Yes, my Freddo frog.
Oh, is that for
Okay,
later?
let's move to
Chuck it in
Candice.
your tummy.
What have you
That's
got
what
for us,
it's
Candice?
Okay, so
Parents.
this was an amazing story that came out during the week. There's a Perth mum. Of course, we're here in Perth at the moment. A Perth mum found herself on the receiving end of a particularly nasty letter, and the subject of the letter was her oversharing on Facebook. And by oversharing, her so-called friends were quite upset about the amount of pictures of her young baby daughter that this proud mum, as you would, was posting online. I found this quite horrific, and the letter was quite pointed, saying, you know, we don't care if your 6-month-old is crawling off a mat. All 6 months old crawl off mats. You know, so keep it to yourself or send it privately. Or these people have clearly missed the entire point of Facebook. One, and two, have clearly missed a number of the features on Facebook, which means you can mute these
Facebook
kinds
is
of
about
things if
putting
they're bothering
inane
you.
things on. I mean,
That's the point.
Candice, explain to me, why do people put pictures of a meal they're having?
Yeah, I get that.
It's the
as well.
same kind of
I
thing.
don't understand why
I
people
mean, my
do it.
wife Julie, she does it, and I sit there and says, "Oh, don't eat yet. I've got to take a photo and send it to my friends."
Yeah, I can't get it. We seem to live in a world where we have to show everybody what we're doing.
We do.
We feel that we need their approval. I mean, I was in Bali just recently, just quickly, and one of the people that came with us, actually our floor manager, Tony, he likes to do that such thing. Straight away, he goes to the massage, he'll take a photo. He goes for...
hang on.
Takes a photo.
Tell us about the massage photos, Fred.
Nothing much to tell, let me tell you.
Come on, Fred.
It was all hands-on.
Put them up on the screen, Fred.
No hanky-panky going on there. But it's like there's an inclination for people that have to tell everybody what they're doing, and for them to come back and say, love your photo, or sounds cool.
What's up, babes?
Yeah.
Great to
But
see you, babes.
we know there are those people, and then those are other people, so annoying, and they'll go, oh, it's the worst day of my life, and then they'll just leave you there.
Yeah.
And you'll go, oh, am I supposed to say, why, what's going on, honey?
No, aren't you supposed
Call
to
me,
pick up the
hun.
phone and ring them? Is that what it is?
God, no.
'Cause they
Is that
don't
what
wanna
you
go
use your phone
public.
for?
So to wrap this one up,
it's an
we're going to move
attention
to Nat. To wrap this one up, what do you think?
Oh, look, I found it horrific that someone
Well, pick on her.
felt the need to write an anonymous letter as opposed to giving her a little nudge in the ribs and saying, hey,
Look, I'm
a bit
sorry,
bored.
okay, I was forced into it.
Right.
And Nat, you've got a very interesting topic.
Look,
on the 10
mine's
years.
in all seriousness, actually. We've all seen the video footage of the quokka being
Oh,
singed.
disgusting. Disgusting.
We actually have the footage which will show. You can't sit on the monitor, it's turned off, but it is there. You can hear it.
It's just horrible. Well, this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. I am an RSPCA inspector, and these sorts of cases make us sick. Now, we didn't do this. The RSPCA didn't do this because there's police officers at Rottnest Island, and they're general inspectors like the RSPCA.
And they're two French tourists, aren't they?
They're two French
They
tourists.
were
but
working there.
They're working there as cleaners.
3 months.
They then get out the aerosol can and the lighter, and I mean, we've all done it.
They sprayed
Not
it.
on
But
freaking animals.
not on little quokkas.
I've done it on
Singed
wood
it.
and on a barbecue fire.
Would never
Yeah.
do it to anything living.
But they filmed it.
They filmed it, and then you
well.
can hear them in the background laughing, which is what gets me. But they're not stupid people. They're,
Yes,
you
they
know,
are
what are they,
stupid
18, 24?
They've done something
But they're
stupid.
not. One of them is a journalist student, and they're
think
saying,
they know better.
oh, you people, you know, you think we're monsters. I've got pets at home. Really? What, is that supposed to impress
Now,
me?
this made world news because I
Yeah.
saw
Oh,
it
good.
all around the world on the internet, ABC, everywhere in America. It's disgusting, really.
Oh,
I mean,
look.
you see this all the time.
I do see this all the time, but this is
$4,000
what
fine.
annoys me. The RSPCA, the police office, we have no way of, getting a bigger fine or getting a prohibition order or any of these things. That's all left up to the magistrates and the courts. So we can't tell them what to do. So these guys have got a $4,000 fine. Now let's see, under the Animal Welfare Act, they could have had up to a $50,000
I would have
fine
given them maximum.
and 5 years jail.
I thought
And
instant
all they get is-
deportation would have
Well,
been
they were
quite...
leaving
they
the
are.
country. They left the country anyway, and
Yeah.
they were waiting to hear what fine they were getting. Apparently, they were leaving that day. They gave them the fine. They paid the fine, then they left.
Yeah, but they were kept
as a
in
story,
prison for it.
As a story has gone international, their shame will follow them.
Especially in France.
Yes.
I would say.
But
You
know
Google
what, Ted?
any of those names
Yes.
and
It's
gonna follow
about time, I'm sorry, but it's about time that people took animal cruelty,
Seriously.
and when I say people, I'm
Yeah.
talking about magistrates and courts.
Yeah.
Animals
They
are part of
have-
your family. They're
That's
like a human.
absolutely
That's
correct.
it.
You can't leave a dog that's been hit by a car and leave it in the backyard.
No.
You can't not feed a dog. You can't not feed a cat. You cannot do these things.
Just quickly.
And beat an animal.
Opinion, Ted?
Oh, I totally agree with Nat.
Candice?
Oh, if they weren't instantly deported, then they should have been, certainly.
Can I just ask quickly, what are you guys doing in the next couple of weeks? Anything big?
Just travelling.
Travelling, going to Bali?
I'll go to Bali, Europe, just a few places.
Where aren't you going?
Traveller. And Candice back at Fairfax?
Yeah, still
for
at
WA today?
Fairfax at WA today. Got
Any
a few
big
spots on
stories?
6PR. Yeah, got some really interesting reviews coming up when it comes to some of the big artists coming to town. Spandau Ballet's about to do a tour, which I'm really excited about.
WAtoday.com.au is where you'll get
sure,
all the
spot the
details.
plugs.
Look for the lady with the beautiful hair and the blue top. And it
Who's
is
that?
That's you.
I realise why you didn't go any further. See, because you upset Eddie, that tallest poppy that needs chopping down because he
good.
called you Candice and you corrected him.
Yeah.
Once you did that, you were gone.
A lot of people call me Candice, and I do correct them.
I'd ignore them.
But I certainly wouldn't correct Eddie. Would you correct Eddie? I know
Yes,
he's
I
trying to
would.
say
Quickly,
goodbye.
what are you up
Well,
to
you
for the
did.
next couple
Well,
of weeks?
obviously, I'm getting together the Rockingham Community Action Day, the Animal Day, out there on the Wednesday, the 6th of May, and I'm picking up my new caravan very soon, so I'm going to be going away on a little caravan holiday.
Sounds fantastic.
Very exciting.
Thank you very much to everyone for being on the show today. We're completely out of time. We're going to go to a break, I think, because Tayla's coming up with half a movie review coming up after the break. Thank you to Ted. Thank you to
Thanks,
Candice.
pleasure.
Thank you to Nat. We'll catch
Pleasure.
you at the other side of the break. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the couch here on Aurora Television, Foxtel all around Australia. And with me, gives me great pleasure, filling in for Cameron Lynch today is
Yes.
our very own Tayla Divitini. Welcome back.
Thank you, Fred. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How's everything going at ECU?
Very good. I'm nearly finished, so all very exciting, but very busy time right now.
Big
so.
things happening at ECU. You've got assignments and everything coming
Yeah, very busy, but good.
And
good
you're doing
busy.
sports presenting soon.
Sports broadcasting I'm
Broadcasting.
doing at the moment.
Fantastic.
Something, out of my usual thing that
I'm
I
sure
normally
you'll
do, but
do it
it's
tremendously.
very exciting. I quite
Well
like
done.
it.
Are you looking forward to it ending?
I am, well,
Wonderful.
not really, to be honest with you. I love it a lot,
missing
so,
it.
but wait and see what happens.
Fair enough. Let's talk about movies today. What have we got?
First, we've got Pitch Perfect 2. Their slogan, we're back pictures, and that's exactly what they are, back with a bang. The sequel to the original Pitch Perfect in 2012, starring all the usual funny gals, including Rebel Wilson playing
She's
Fat
my
Amy.
favourite.
She is so funny. I think without her, it wouldn't be the same. To be honest, I
She's
think
amazing.
she makes the movie. So the movie is all about, they're going to enter an international competition, and America, their team, is the first that have ever entered this competition. So they're up against all the favourites. They're kind of the underdogs, but we'll wait and see if they really live up to expectations.
The reason it's pitch perfect is because about pitch in your voice when you're singing.
That's right. That's right. A talented group of ladies. Fantastic one for the family.
Well, I just wanted to correct you. I didn't want Croatian people ringing up saying you spelt it wrong.
No. Pitch,
know that
not
word.
the other one. Not
Yes,
the other one.
good.
Let's look at the trailer.
We are coming to you live from the nation's capital where the Barton University Bellas are performing for the President of the United States on his birthday. I came in like a wrecking ball.
Oh no, she has no underwear on.
Oh my God.
We have a commando situation. She's turning.
No.
Brace yourself.
She's coming, she's coming. The Australian singer gave the president a birthday gift from down under. The Bellas are suspended. You're being replaced by the European champions.
We are das sound machine.
How we gonna compete with them?
I'm not supposed to have any ideas. I'm the hot one. I'm pretty sure I'm the hot one.
If we win the World Championships, will you reinstate us?
If you win it. Oh!
Barton Bellas, you are so tiny.
We're gonna kick your ass.
Your team is like how do you say that? A heated mess. A mess where heat is applied to it. So what once was a little messy is now even messier.
When I look back on this, I won't remember performing and competing. I'm gonna remember you weirdos.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
Guys, there's gonna be some haters out there. They're gonna look at us, Team USA, and be like, why is the most talented one Australian?
Who run the world? Girls! Who run this mother?
Boy, these girls have broken down every single barrier in their path.
Who run the
What an inspiration to girls all over the country who are too ugly to be cheerleaders.
Who run the world? Girls! We run this mother. Girls!
Pitch perfect.
Pitch
Two.
Perfect, Fred. Doesn't it look great?
I love it.
May 7 is
I'm
the
so
day that it's
glad
going to come
Fat
out in
Amy's
cinemas.
in there.
She's hilarious.
Very good.
Absolutely fantastically talented
Do you remember
lady.
Mad Max?
I vaguely remember seeing one of the Mad Max films. I
They
do.
were amazing. I think he did 4 or 5 movies. That was Mel Gibson, of course.
It's 3 movies.
Is he involved with this one?
No. So the next movie we're talking about today is Mad Max Fury Road, the 4th of all of the Mad Max franchise movies. Starring Tom Hardy has replaced Mel Gibson for the first time, starring alongside Charlize Theron, fantastic actress as well. And it's basically a similar scenario as all the other Mad Max films, post-apocalyptic world, fight to the death. Now, Mad Max and Furiosa team up and get into a lot of mischief and see who can survive this scary post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah,
Looks very, very good.
Have you seen the trailer?
I have seen the trailer.
Yeah.
Now, Tom Hardy's been in other famous movies like The Dark Knight, Inception, one called Warrior, and Black Hawk Down.
Thank you very much.
So he's quite a talented man. And the critics are saying that it's one to watch.
And let's
So
watch
let's
it.
see
Let's
what you
watch
think.
the trailer. Yeah, we will.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
It is by my hand! You will rise from the ashes of this world!
We are not thieves. We are not thieves.
Where is she taking them? I want them back! They're my property!
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Want to get through this?
Let's go.
Looks very good, doesn't it? May 14, that's coming out, so definitely one to watch as well.
Thank you very much. Let's take a look at the top 5 movies as they are for this week. And let's have a look. Here it is. At number 5, Tayla.
The Longest Ride, beautiful movie.
Number 4.
SpongeBob SquarePants, Sponge Out of Water.
Number 3.
Home.
Number 2.
Cinderella.
And at number 1.
And Fast and Furious
Just
7.
like this segment. Thank you very much to Tayla Divitini for being part of the show today.
No worries,
and
anytime.
It's time for us to give away some vouchers to Fasta Pasta. Have you been to Fasta Pasta?
Not in a while.
Well,
Not in a while, I
they've
have
got
to
a new
admit.
menu. Check this out and then we'll tell you how you can win a $50 voucher.
Cool.
Introducing Fasta Pasta's new lunch menu.
Lunch the way I like it, please.
Just choose your fresh pasta
Linguine.
and your sauce
Fiorentina.
from just $9.90, then add sides and drinks. Lunch the way you like it for a price you'll love. Only at Fasta Pasta.
And if you'd like to win a $50 voucher to Fasta Pasta anywhere in Australia, all you have to do is put the code word Fasta Pasta, F-A-S-T-A, P-A-S-T-A, Fasta Pasta, and send it to 0439 929 99. But you must remember to SMS your name and address. And we will pick a lucky winner during the week and you'll win a $50 voucher. Thank you very much to Fasta Pasta for being so wonderful. Now, before we go, I forgot Spy.
I know, we've got to talk about
We'll go back to Spy just quickly.
We've got to talk about Spy.
Thank you.
Starring the absolutely incredible Melissa McCarthy, star of
She's the
Bridesmaids.
big lady.
Tammy, she's
Tammy,
so
that's right.
incredibly funny. Now, this film, Spy, is all about, she works for the CIA, what am I saying?
Close enough.
And she has been desk-bound for many years, always wanting to be in on the action.
She's like the reject.
She is. She's a kind of awkward.
I know what it's like being big.
Oh, Fred.
Hot. attractive.
Hot smoking. But but anyway, stop You always try and
Sorry, go on.
confuse me. The CIA needs somebody to work as a spy for them that nobody would know that
Oh, they'd never pick her
she was
as
a spy.
definitely.
So she's a perfect match. So in the meantime, she gets into a lot of fun and frivolous fun and up to lots of mischief. Fantastically funny movie trailer, so I've seen so far. The critics are raving about it. It's currently got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, wow, and Cameron would love that.
He would. So definitely want to see. It's being released in June. Definitely go and see it.
Here's the trailer.
Yes.
When I joined the CIA, I thought I was going to be this amazing spy. I'm just the same boring person I was before.
You play it too safe.
I just hear my mom's voice. Give up on your dreams, Susan. Just write that in my lunchbox.
Raina Boyanov is about to sell a tactical nuclear weapon to a terrorist organization.
I told you to send me in there.
You can't. She knows the identity of all our agents. We need someone to find the bomb without being detected.
I'll do it.
Okay, thanks, lunch lady.
You're going.
Okay.
Yeah, bring one of your cats as a sidekick.
I don't have cats.
Go see Patrick. He's got special equipment for you.
It's like the future.
You're a spy. I know. You'll be given a new identity.
Oh. Cat lady. She's missing a shirt that says I've never felt the touch of a man.
Ciao bella, come sta? Mamma mia.
It's a confidence builder.
You really think you're ready for the field? Leave the action to me.
Damn it! Who puts a roof on a scooter? What are you, the Pope?
You are not to make direct contact with any of the targets.
You are incredibly out of your league.
It's not fair. Brother Butler! Get your hand out my mouth!
I'm saving you! I'm a real spy. I once drove a car off a freeway on top of a train while I was on fire. Not the car, I was on fire.
Kind of starting to freak me out.
Poor little pathetic Susan. My father used to bring people here.
Did he also make you dress like a slutty dolphin trainer?
Love it.
Looks good.
Cannot wait to go and see that one, Fred.
I can't wait to see it with you. Thank you very much to
Thank
Tayla
you,
Divitini.
Fred. Thanks for
And
having me.
catch her out at ECU. If you're out at ECU, please say hello to her. Thanks for being here today, and we'll look forward to seeing you again on the couch very soon.
You too. Thank you, Fred.
That was Tayla. That was movies for this week. And, of course, Cameron will be back next week, hopefully. We'll see you on the other side of this break because we've got Blake Williams from Mix 94.5 talking to Annie Kay. See you then. Welcome back to the couch on Aurora Television Foxtel, and Taylor's back with us again. Taylor, do you remember Blake Williams?
Of course I remember
He used
Blake.
to do our music segments here at the couch.
Yes.
And he was very well respected. But now he works for Mix 94.5. He's one of the big DJs there. And our good friend over here, Annie Kay, you've got a great interview with Blake, and welcome back.
Thanks, Fred. Today on KidzBiz, we have Blake Williams, and he's a radio presenter at Mix 94.5. Hi, Blake.
G'day, Annie. How you doing? This is a bit strange. You're asking me the questions.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, God.
So how long have you been working in radio? Because you're very good at it.
Well, thanks. That'll get you everywhere in this industry. I've been working in radio, I've been working at Mix for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And before that, I say work, in inverted commas, as in for free at different community stations around the place, which I guess is a part of everyone's journey in radio. Everyone starts out studying and then doing, volunteer radio at different stations, and then, if you want to pursue it, into commercial radio. So about 7 years all up, I'd say.
So what kind of studies did you have to do to prepare for a job in radio?
You can, I guess, come about it through different ways. So a radio is a job that you don't necessarily, to become a lawyer, you have to study law.
Yeah.
To be a radio announcer, you don't necessarily have to study radio, although I did. So it helps, I think. There's two ways about it. You can either have an interest in it and then want to go regional, which means go to Bunbury or away to Esperance and sort of do your time and then come back to Metro and get a commercial radio job. Or you can go to uni. So I went to Whopper and studied broadcasting after doing some journalism stuff. And that kind of gives you a bit of a foot in the door to get into the commercial stations because you'll do work experience. And from work experience, you may or may not get a job. And I was lucky enough to get one through work experience, through studying.
So what kind of skills did you need to have when you were applying for a job?
I think an interest in what you're doing. So essentially, as an announcer, you're talking about music, you're interested in music, and you're interested in what's happening in the world. So people often refer to it as water cooler talk. So whatever people are talking about in their day-to-day life, you kind of need to be interested in. So to be, I think, a good announcer, you need to be someone who just enjoys learning and enjoys, you know, talking about different issues. So that can be social issues, political issues, music issues, international things. Just have a bit of an interest in kind of what's going on, I guess.
So how do you prepare for a show then? Because there's so many different issues that you cover. So how do you prepare for whatever comes?
I guess for me, I'm lucky because I'm pretty much, my show is 100% music, so I really just kind of check out what's happening locally. Yeah. So to prepare for my show, it's just a matter of, you know, working out which bands are kind of up and coming in Perth or around the country, and then inviting them into the show. You know, you came on the show, so you know exactly what it's like. Yeah. So it's just a matter of, you know, just finding out who's cool and, you know, who's doing something interesting and wanting to come on and have a chat.
Okay, so what do you think is the most enjoyable part about your job?
Paycheck and then going away. No, no, I mean, I'm lucky that I love music and I get to talk about music. Yeah. And so for me, when we're in an interview situation and it's just two people or myself and a band and we're talking about what they're interested in, that's the best part, other than getting paid, which is secondary.
Which is obviously very good. So has anyone ever come on your show and been like really nervous, so you have to actually like calm them down and tell them everything's going to be okay?
Well, we heavily sedate our guests.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So most of the time they're okay, and in fact I have to wake them up in many cases.
Yeah, okay.
With my questions that are obviously really interesting. No, you know, most of the time they're fine because I tend to not do it. The interview's 100% live, so we kind of take the pressure off a little bit by pre-recording them during the week. And just sort of chatting about it beforehand, so it's not, you know, high stress. So, you know, I record more than I need and then we edit it down later. So it's not, you know, you don't need to get nervous in a sense because you're just talking about what you're interested in. Yeah. So most people tend to be okay, yeah. So were you nervous when you came on?
Oh, I was a bit nervous.
Were you?
Yeah. But then I met you and I'm like, it's all going to be good. It's all going to be fine. So have you ever met an artist? Oh, well, who was the coolest person you've ever worked with?
Coolest person. You get to meet some interesting bands. You know, people like that have been on the show. People like Delta Goodrum and Johnny Ruffos. You know, those kind of people. Dami Imms, the kind of reality TV. Then you've got bands like Shepherd came on the show.
Awesome.
Thirsty Merc, and you've got the classic people like the Choir Boys bands. A lot of really kind of well-known Australian people, and for those, I love listening to those people talk about, you know, what used to happen back in the day and how they created what they've got now, how they became famous and what they did. Because the thing about music is that there's no path that you can take. You can't study and then become a successful pop star. You know what I mean? It's a lot of elements going on, and so finding out how those people did it, for me, I really enjoy just tracking their career.
So could you tell us a bit about your studio? Because I've been there, so obviously I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
But for the viewers, could you tell us what it looks like and how it runs?
Yeah, sure. So basically, not dissimilar to this. You know, I would sit where Fred is at the moment, and you guys sit around this big table, and then you've got this massive-looking, scary thing in front of you, which is, you know, your desk.
Yeah. And it's covered in buttons and everything.
There's a lot of buttons, which can be confronting sometimes, but I find that okay. I've always kind of been into that. I used to be, well, still am a bit of a nerd, really. So you're looking at it, it looks complicated, but essentially it's just the same thing repeated 20 times. So, and you've got Facebook on this computer, Instagram on that computer, you've got Google on this computer. And so those don't really do anything other than to satisfy your needs for web surfing. Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's okay. It's not that hard as what you might think. I can teach you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take you up on that.
All right. Oh.
And what did you think is the most difficult part of your job?
I think understanding what the audience need to hear. So if you've got someone coming in that is a local artist and then they need to get their story told and heard by people that are driving in their car or, you know, shopping at the supermarket. Yeah. So taking their story and condensing it down to a form that someone listening on the other end can just easily and quickly hear. Because people don't have massive attention spans. If you're going to give them a 5-minute interview when someone's shopping for groceries, it's not going to happen. So really understanding how to kind of synthesize that information and make it really easy for people to understand at the other end, I think is challenging sometimes, because people might have a really interesting story that you need to condense down a little bit, which can be frustrating, but I think that's the most difficult part.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Blake. It's been a pleasure.
No worries.
And for more information, go to the Couch website, thecouch.com.au, and back to you, Fred.
Thank you very much. I just took a photo of Blake. He was on the screen there, so I took that photo, but you're not going to have a look at it. It's private. Thank you, Blake, and thank you again for Annie Kay, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time. That is the show for this week. Thank you very much for your company. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we certainly have had a lot of fun doing it for you. We're going to go out today with a wonderful young talent. She performed at the beginning of the show, and she's going to perform for us right now. Her name is Escala, and she's got a lovely couple of dancers with her, and she's performing a song called Chandelier. We'll see you next week on The Couch. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Party girls don't get hurt, can't feel anything. When will I learn? I push it down, I push it down. I'm the one for a good time, call phone's blowing up, ringing my doorbell. I feel the love, I feel the love. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. Roll back till I lose count. I'm gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. I'm gonna live like tomorrow doesn't exist, like it doesn't exist. I'm gonna fly like the bird of the night, feel my tears as they dry. I'm gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. Not for life, won't look down, won't open my eyes. Keep my glass full until morning light, 'cause I'm just holding on for tonight. Help me, I'm holding on for delight. Won't look down, won't open my eyes. Keep my glass full until morning light, 'cause I'm just holding on for tonight. On for tonight. Sun is up, I'm a mess. Gotta get out now, gotta run from this. Here comes a shame, here comes a shame. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. Throw 'em back till I lose count. I'm gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. I'm gonna live like tomorrow doesn't exist, like it doesn't exist. I'm gonna fly like the bird of the night, feel my tears as they dry. I'm gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. And on for life, won't look down, won't open my eyes. Keep my glass full until morning light, 'cause I'm just holding on for tonight. Help me, I'm holding on for delight. Won't look down, won't open my eyes. Keep my glass full until morning light, 'cause I'm just holding on for tonight. On for tonight, on for tonight. Yes, I'm just holding on for tonight. Oh, I'm just holding on for tonight. On for tonight, on for tonight. Yes, I'm just holding on for tonight. Yes, I'm just holding on for tonight. Oh, I'm just holding on for tonight. On for tonight, on for tonight.